Hello and welcome to all you Capricorns. Welcome for your monthly forecast for July 2015. And it's a very important month for your Capricorns because you will have, there are three things I want to talk about. First of all, the square between your ruler Saturn and Jupiter. That's the most important thing of the month. And then secondly, the Venus return, not return, but I keep on saying Venus return, but I mean the Venus retrograde, and then a lot of activity in your seventh house in Cancer. So let's get started with that clash that happens between Jupiter and Saturn. What does it mean? Well, Saturn is your ruler, and Saturn, that's why Capricorns are seen in general as disciplined, as hardworking, as being very strict to themselves, having a very large amount of inner critic voices in your head. It's a planet of hard work, and that planet is going to make an aspect to Jupiter, which is the planet of your beliefs, of your faith. We all have that planet in our chart. It's the planet of optimism. It's the planet of your opportunities that you want to make. It's the planet of your growth. And whenever these two clash, and a square means always that things are not in balance. So it's a month for all of us to get back into balance again. And for some of you, this will mean that you go a bit too much to the Saturn. And for others of you, this will mean you go a bit too much to the Jupiter and you need to go back to the Saturn. But in general, it means there is a pull for expansion, absolutely, and I'll talk about where for you. But it needs to be taken step by step. So if you do that, it's the best way to apply this energy. So I think the Sagittarians won't have any problem with that. So the Saturn is where? Saturn is now, it was in your 12th house for a long while, and it's going back a tiny little bit in your 11th house. So actually he's in two houses. He's a bit in the 12th house, which is the house of letting go, the house of your, to isolate yourself. Maybe lately you have been isolating yourself a little bit more, working behind the scenes, finishing up some cycles, some old habits that are not working for you anymore. That's all Saturn in the 12th. And it goes a tiny little bit in your 11th. So that's all about your friends and your objectives for the future, your goals. And Capricorns can do really well with that because they like to take those steps to go higher and higher and higher. And to have a better version of themselves, let's put it that way. So the Saturn is there. It means the restrictions are there. So there are restrictions considering what you can wish for, or you feel restricted there. Or there are some changes with friends still. Some friends that are that are not suiting you anymore. Not that they are bad or anything, but it's just they don't align with you anymore. So there are some restrictions there. So that's the Saturn. And the Jupiter is now there, where you feel that you have growth potential. And Jupiter is in your 8th house, which is a very deep house. So there is huge possibility to grow towards that house. And so Jupiter and Venus there, the two benefics in the 8th house, means there is growth possible, financial situation. And thanks to probably other people or money that was owed to you or inheritances. It can also do on a very other level, on a psychological level, that there is huge potential of growth to go on a deep research psychologically. And people might not see that you're doing it, but you're growing tremendously because if you know the interest in the occult, the interest in metaphysical stuff, the interest in maybe life after death experiences, or stories, or things like that. That is all 8th house, because of of something challenging happening to you that you might not feel that you have control over, you manage it anyway with the Jupiter and the Venus there. So these are the areas that are happening and that are a bit in contradiction with each other. So what could it be? It depends on your personality. So you can have two kinds of Capricorns here. If you are a Capricorn, two kind of Capricorns. One, Capricorns who are actually probably most of you, who are very aware of your own limitations, who are very strict towards themselves. That's one side of the Capricorn. But you also have Capricorns who are a bit more Jupiterian ruled, who have maybe a Pisces rising or a Sagittarius rising, and who tend to go more to recklessness, to growth and to letting go instead of responsibility. So there are two kinds of Capricorns there, depending on your unique natal chart. If you resonate with the first one that I explained, so if you think, oh yeah, I have my limits and I'm responsible, then this is a warning for you to loosen up a little bit, to let go a little bit of the harshness of the demands that you put upon yourself for your goals for the future, because the Saturn is in the 11th house. You don't want it any more strict restrictions, any more being very strict on yourself and being very strict in relationship with friends maybe as well. You want to loosen up a little bit, and you can do that by exploring that 8th house, by maybe reading some books about the occult, about the metaphysical, maybe about crises and how to overcome them, maybe about putting your energy a bit more about the value that you get from other people. That's the 8th house as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be money, but support that you get of other people. To open up yourself a little bit more towards that, then this is the warning. To get it a bit more in balance again. You can grow very fast there with the 8th house, but mind your limits. And this is for the Capricorns that are a bit too much going to the reckless energy, too optimistic. Then your warning should be, hey, cool down a little bit. Don't depend that much on money of other people. Go a bit more to what you can define for yourself, how you can be responsible for your own goals and your own and your own objectives for the future. So, but I think as you are Saturn ruled people, you tend to go probably a bit more to the Saturn. So this is just a kind of a rebalancing, you could say. And Venus is going retrograde in that 8th house as well. So this is also important. It's at around the end of the month. So let's say around the 25th, 26th, that Venus goes almost in your 9th, but it goes retrograde in the 8th. So, and it goes on a very specific fixed star. It transits over the fixed star Regulus, which means ambitious. So it shows that you are going to get very ambitious. Maybe when it comes to investigating how you can rely on, or how you can enjoy, not rely, but enjoy that other people value you, and maybe even a past love can come back into your life. And but this is the 8th house of transformation. So maybe you had a relationship years ago, and suddenly you bump into that person, and there is some finishing up that needs to be done. It's like, the 8th house is the house of death, and then the rebirth. So there's some things that were under the surface that now get into the surface, and it's cleaned up. You're free. You feel more free. There were things maybe that weren't, unfinished business there, but in a good way, that you can feel more free because of that. So it won't happen for all the Capricorns, but it could be. It's also about intimacy, the 8th house. So there is a possibility. Maybe you're just in a new relationship and you are opening up and you are understanding now what it is to be intimate. And this is not only on a sexual level, this is body, mind, and soul. And this is showing your vulnerabilities. And you see how this can, that your vulnerability can become your strength, how you feel strengthened by being so open to one particular person that you trust. So again, and finding always that balance between the 8th house and between the 11th house, between the growth into maybe more intimacy and all of that, but also the balance of, hey, keep your feet on the ground. It's always, so I think it's a very Capricornial kind of month for you, and I hope you enjoy it. The last thing that I want to talk about is so much activity in your 7th house. So I think it's going to be a very busy month for the Capricorns, because all the male planets are in your 7th house, the house of your one-to-one relationship. So not necessarily your love relationship. It can also be your clients, can also be your business relationships. Actually, it's other people that you connect with one-to-one, or that you consult, or that they consult you. Probably a lot of people will consult you. Capricorns, it is known that they are known for their wisdom. And they can give advice to other people who is a bit detached there, but giving advice like a father does, and even when you're a woman. And now it can, with Mars there, with the Sun there, with Mercury, the planet of communication as well, you can be in a situation where you say, a lot of people are demanding towards me, and don't try to fight it. Don't try to fight that. Don't try to say, hey, I'm too tired now. Try to negotiate, try to give your attention to them, and try to understand also that it's simply you who feel that things are a bit more busier, and you are in, not that you cannot deal with the busyness, but you are in a time that it can exhaust you a little bit. So people can be a bit, oh my God, leave me alone. But you can't escape from it. It's that kind of energy. But, forewarn this forearmed, and give your energy to them in the best way that you can. And you do have your limits anyway. You're a Capricorn.